Hey guys, I'm super excited because in today's video, I get to test one of the greatest rackets of all time, which is the Wilson Blade. Across all levels, you're going to find players using the Blade. Now, generally, the Blade is considered a low power racket. Now, a lot of people get confused with the term low power. It doesn't mean that you're going to play without power. You can play with a tremendous amount of power with a low power racket. What that means more specifically is that the racket is not going to give you that much power. You got to create the power. And what that means when it comes to technique is that you're going to take fuller swings. So there are several reasons why the Blade is considered a low power racket. Number one, it's a more flexible racket. The RAs differ among the different versions, but the 18 by 20 string pattern Blade V9 98 comes in at a 60 RA stiffness rating, which is very flexible. If you look at the beam, you can see that it's quite thin, which is another factor that contributes to less responsiveness. Now, on the other hand, what you get from a racket that's more flexible is more feel. There is more dwell time on the string. So your finesse shots are going to be easier to execute with a low power racket compared to a super responsive high power racket. So I have three different blade models here that I'm going to test. I have the 16 by 19 Blade 98 V9. This one comes in at 305 grams unstrung. It's got a stiffness rating of 62 and it's 4 points head light. Now, I'm not going to test the 18 by 20 blade because when I have the option for two exact same models with different string patterns, I am going to use the one with a more open string pattern. I'm also super excited to test the Blade 100 V9. There are other versions of this racket, lighter ones, and they all come in with a string pattern of 16 by 19. This racket is 4 points head light, and it comes in at a stiffness rating of 60 RA. And now, most importantly, I can't tell you how long I've been waiting to test the Blade 104 V9. Why am I so excited? Because this racket is longer. You guys know that I like longer rackets if you have been watching my videos. Standard length on rackets is 27 inches, and the Blade 104 comes in at 27.5 inches. This racket is fairly light, coming in at 290 grams unstrung. It's 6 points head light, and the string pattern is 16 by 19. Now, as I told you, the Blade is one of the most popular rackets of all time across all levels, and players love the fact that this is a flexible racket that's also low powered. And a lot of players have been complaining that the Blade has been made stiffer. So the stable feel technology is described in the following way. The new blade technology that provides an enhanced, firmer feel that increases stability and creates a more connected to the ball feel. So this is what players get upset about. They love a specific model of rackets and they love the specs, and then the manufacturer updates the specs just slightly so that players get annoyed. This goes both ways. So you can have a flexible, soft racket like this that's made a little bit more firm, and also you can have a firm racket that's dampened and made a little bit softer, and this is what players get annoyed with. However, this is why I'm super excited to test the Blade, because I've played with blades in the past and they were a little bit too soft for me. So let's see how this stable feel technology responds to my game. Now, there are people who say, I don't care what the racket looks like. I'm not one of those people. I very much care about the optics of a racket, and I can tell you that the Blade upgrade, the V9 model, is one of the better looking blades that's ever been made. All right, let's start with the 16 by 19 Blade 98. And this racket looks great, but right away, I don't like the feel. It's too dampened for me. It's like a slingshot effect, like a catapult effect. I can feel the ball sinking into the string bed. On the backhand, I am feeling the lack of power, so I feel like I have to exert a little bit more effort. Let me do some finesse shots, some slices and some drop shots. So that slice felt pretty good. The dropper did not feel good. Yeah, the slice does feel good. So this racket is maneuverable. The ball sinking into the string bed is generally good, but I can't hit drop shots for the life of me. I'm so used to hitting droppers with stiffer frames that I can't do it with this feel racket. That one was better. So here's the 100, and I can already tell you I do like it a lot better. So the 100 does feel better for me personally. It is more responsive for sure, but yet it does feel similar to the 98 to some extent. But I would say it's a very different feel to the 98, and for me personally, it's a better feel. Let me try some backhands. Oh yeah, definitely more responsive to the 100. And try a drop shot and a slice. So yeah, the feel is better, and it is quite maneuverable. I'm so excited about the 104 blade, and I can right away tell you, this racket feels phenomenal. It comes in at 290 grams unstrung, so it might need just a tad of lead tape. But I can tell you right off the bat, this racket feels phenomenal. The extra length and the larger racket head size works in my favor, and the racket is maneuverable, and it is definitely more responsive than the Blade 98 on the backhand. Yeah, that slice felt pretty good. Let's try a drop shot. Drop shot feels pretty good, and let's try a two-hander. Oh yeah. I gotta tell you, I'm shocked how good the 100 and the 104 felt. I think I'm playing really well with these, and they felt completely different from what I remember blades feeling like. The 98 didn't feel too great, I'll admit. I'll still give it a chance in point play. But I have a feeling that especially with the 104, the longer one, I'm possibly going to be serving well with it. So can't wait to try these out in point play. All right, guys, we're going to start with the 98 16 by 19 blade coming in at 305 grams unstrung. My hopes and expectations are very low on this one because the RA is 62. Oh my goodness. Feels like a trampoline, very absorbent contact, so it feels like a catapult. Feels like the ball is being sucked into the string bed and shot out. That first forehand felt horrendous. Oh my goodness. So very similar to the forehand. That was a catapult backhand. Felt horrible, but take a look at the handle. This is so short, it actually ends right here. I'm feeling this sharp edge of the frame on my index finger, and I absolutely hate this feeling on the backhand. Oh my goodness. We're not going to completely blame the racket there because I caught the absolute corner of it. There was poor footwork, poor timing, poor everything. But still, I'm going to blame the racket on that one because off-center shot, that felt absolutely horrendous. The whole time I'm thinking Milos Raonic, I don't know if he exactly plays with this model. He might play with the pro version, I have no idea. We have to ask Jonas about that. But this racket actually doesn't feel too bad on the serve, I will say that. So the serve does feel pretty good with this one. I'm getting a pretty good response from it. Alright, so I put more spin on that forehand and was able to grip the ball pretty good. So that forehand didn't feel too good. I mean, that forehand didn't feel too bad. I'm hacking away with the blade. It feels like I'm chopping wood out here. It doesn't feel too good so far, I'll be honest. Made that forehand, but again, it felt like a catapult. There's something that I would really have to get used to. It's just a strange feeling for me since my RA usually is the other spectrum. I'm closer to 70, and this racket is closer to 60. Off-center shots feel so bad, I'll be honest. Not good at all. And also, head size, I'm not a big fan of 98. I prefer 100, that's what I'm used to. Again, another catapult forehand. There's one word that perfectly describes this racket, and that's mushy. Guys, we're gonna prematurely end this disaster. The tiebreak is not even over. I'm not even gonna finish it. There's just no way I can play with the Blade 98, even though the string pattern is more to my liking. It's just impossible for me to get used to a racket that's this flexible. Now, here comes the kicker. The Blade 100 is 2 points lower in RA. So this one's coming in at 60, but fortunately it does have a larger racket head size at 100. So I think that's going to be better towards off-center shots compared to the 98. What a difference. This is night and day. I like this one a lot better. And I don't feel the 60. This one feels a lot firmer than the 62 RA, which is so weird, but the 60 didn't bother me at all on those serves and on that forehand. This feels so much better, so much more responsive. Oh yeah, that backhand felt good actually. More responsive. It doesn't really make sense as far as the RA. So if we take a look at the balance, this one has 7 points headlight, the same as the 98, but it's 5 grams lighter. So that's why maybe I'm able to accelerate it a little bit faster. I don't know, but I'm telling you, this feels so much better. Okay, that slice felt absolutely horrendous. Maybe the worst slice I've hit in the last 2 months, but the backhand return, very clean. And by the way, for all you guys wondering, all the rackets are strung exactly the same, so it's not the strings. I made sure that these rackets are all the same as far as the strings are concerned. So it is a little bit mysterious so far. Well, I'm liking the 100 blade so much better than the 98. As I told you guys in my Diadem play test, I have a better feel with stiffer rackets just because I learned to have feel with stiffer rackets. So this racket to me, even though it's 60 RA, it feels much stiffer than the 98, and that drop shot felt perfect. And that serve felt pretty good too. So far I'm so positively surprised by the Blade 100. I can't believe it. I like it. One of those misses that feels good. I feel like if I get another crack at that same backhand, I'll make the next one. So overall, a positive feeling so far. Those type of shots are important in play tests. It's those defensive shots, a block or a chip. Those shots are very important to me because there's the racket doing all the work. I'm just basically letting the ball deflect off the racket. And that, even though it was a weak shot, it didn't feel too bad coming off the racket. Okay, super important miss because that was the first one that felt horrible. So I think there was off center. And of course, the off center shots was established by my horrendous footwork and a lack of trust moving to my left side because my knee hurts. But that was the first ball that I hit poorly, way off the middle of the racket, and it didn't feel good at all. So I am registering that. So out of every flexible rackets that I've ever tried, the Blade 100 is the most responsive one that I've ever played with, and I'm very surprised how well I played with it. However, it's still 60 RA and it's going to be super difficult for me to play with a racket like that. I'm going to have to count it out, but I'm super excited now because I finally get to test the 104 blade, which comes in at 27.5 inches. It's longer, it's got a bigger racket size at 104, and it's also a little bit lighter at 290 grams unstrung. I think I'm going to love this racket. Why? Because the RA is a little bit higher, coming in at 64. Our serve felt pretty good. Forehand, I should have bent my knees a little bit more. That would have helped for sure, and maybe go a little bit higher on the ball, but not too bad. Long. The racket is moving through the air very effortlessly. Also, the handle is longer on this one. So both the regular blade and the 100 have a handle that's way too short for me, but the 104's handle is just a tad longer, which feels better in my hand. All right, so far so good. The racket is very maneuverable despite its length. I feel like at 290 static weight, this is just right for this length of racket. I'm not going to claim that one. That was a miss hit. That slice did not feel too good. I've got to say, guys, so far I like this blade. It is very different from the other two blades. Of course, first of all, it's longer, it's got a bigger racket size, so it's more forgiving, and of course it's more responsive because the RA is higher. So the 104 blade, completely different racket from both the 100 and the 98. So this racket is also 9 points headlight, which makes it very maneuverable. And for example, slices or topspin shots. Both of those last shots that I hit, that first slice and the forehand that I tried to turn around, did feel pretty good, but a couple of the shots did feel a little bit wobbly. So I might need just a tad of lead tape at 9 and 3 or at 12. I would have to experiment with it, but maybe 5 to 10 grams of lead tape would give this racket just a tad more swing weight and more stability. So the longer I play with this one, the worse it feels. The 64 RA now is kicking in. I think it was just a comparison to playing with the low RAs first and then grabbing this one. Felt initially a little bit more responsive, but now that I've gotten a little bit more used to it, it is still a flexible racket, much more flexible than what I'm used to, and it's also very head light, and it is slightly flailing on some of my shots. So the feeling is getting worse as I'm continuing to play with this one. Also, with any of the rackets that I tried so far, from the first one to the last one, the serve has not felt good. Not 100% by any means, and this is worrisome for me. I'm still looking for that serve racket. It's very important for me to have a racket where I feel like I'm maximizing my serve. Yeah, again, flailing a little bit. Of course, yeah, the footwork is poor there. Not getting there early enough, but still not feeling the control that I normally feel on that backhand. Alright guys, so the blades are phenomenal rackets. Some of the best rackets in the history of tennis. There are so many players across all levels that play with the blade. The spectrum of different rackets is also phenomenal. You're going to find the racket that you're looking for, but unfortunately for me, apart from the specs that are not suited for me, also the edginess of the frame is something that I don't like, and the handle is too short. So unfortunately I will not be using the blade for further testing, but it is a phenomenal racket.